So now we come to removing the cutlass bearing, and I have watched a couple of videos from professional boatyards, and they use a saber saw and they cut through the bronze of the cutlass bearing, making sure that they don't put any damage into this part of the P-bracket. Well, seeing as it's our first time at doing this, we've made an executive decision. Before we even attempt to remove this, we should get the other one that we bought new and just check the diameter is correct. It should be. Alright.
That fits.
That is a perfect fit.
Good. Yeah, that will be too, I think.
Yeah.
Could you... Oh, no.
No, you don't do that.
You know what I was going to say, don't you?
Exactly what you were going to say. I know you know. I just asked one of the other guys in the yard who's working on his boat if he happened to have a bearing puller, but he doesn't. But he came up with a great idea, and that was to use a very large socket. So this is the largest socket I have. It is a 32mm.
Pretty perfect.
Yeah. So let's get a hammer in. No. Nothing. Okay, well, we've come this far. We're not turning back now. In fact, we can't, because just looking at the state of the cutlass bearing, it definitely needs changing out. So it's back to the questions and answer session from you guys, and tell us, apart from going to the local hardware store and buying a puller for cutlass bearing, which is not going to happen because we're on an island in Greece, remember, what brute
in
force,
lockdown.
in lockdown, what brute force method can we use to make this budge? So far, a 32mm socket and a bloody big lump hammer haven't made it move. Another nemesis.
Speak to me, Baz. Love your haircut.
Thanks.
Who did that?
The local hairdresser. Back in Australia, when we were planning this whole adventure journey, I had, visions of being out on the water for pretty much most of the year, maybe hauling out for a month at the peak of winter to get some maintenance done and apply anti-foul. And to be honest with you, I think it's both years we've spent 6 months not out on the water sailing. I mean, admittedly, when we were in Cash, we were actually in the harbour, so we were technically on the water, but we never really left.
I mean, we could have done if we'd wanted. We could have gone out, but we didn't. There was more rain in Turkey last winter as well, and that really did impact, I think, on the possibility for sailing. We were new sailors as well. And
yeah, not enough experience, not enough confidence at that point. And of course, this winter, the original plan was to haul out for 4 months, maybe 5, and ride out the worst of the winter. And of course, now we're already in May. So we've been here for 6 months now, and probably another month. So there'll be 7 months out of the water, or 7 months not sailing. So it's really been very different than I anticipated.
Lots of things up and are, aren't they?
Thanks.
Yeah, especially when time's involved with you.
Yeah.
It'll only take 5 minutes. 3 days later. I think that's been more of a frustration for you than it has for me, hasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I bought a boat. Didn't buy a house.
No. Get that. I mean, look, I love sailing and I love travelling and I love having that freedom to move from place to place whenever we want. And oddly enough, when the pandemic self-isolation lockdown thing happened, a part of me, I have to say, felt sort of like quietly relieved, because it's an enforced stillness. When we're on the water, even if we're at anchor for a while, there's always that thought, well, if the wind changes, we've got to move around to the other side of the island or find somewhere else. So there's always that sense that you may be moving. Whereas here, for me personally, I've had the opportunity just to really get still, and yeah, I've actually kind of appreciated it and enjoyed it. Having said that, really looking forward to sailing again, because I do love that freedom, and that's one of the reasons why I also came on board with you, you know.
I think when we get back to Turkey and we have the marina contract in cash, I think next winter is going to be very different from this winter. Obviously we'll be in the water, and with the marineros there, who are excellent marineros, we'll be able to come and go as we please from the marina, and there are plenty of days for sailing in the winter in Turkey. It's really, you know, I mean, obviously storms do come through, but there's a lot of time when it's not stormy, and you could definitely go out, and the marineros there will make it easy for us to leave, and more importantly get back to our berth.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that aspect of it. Looking at the pandemic numbers, Greece has managed to keep its numbers very, very low.
Super low, yeah.
Oh, wonderful. They acted very quickly, and self-isolation, you know, methods have been very well done.
Yeah.
And on Monday, so we're recording this, what's today, Saturday? So
Saturday,
on Monday, the 4th of May, 2020, they're starting to lift some of them.
The restrictions.
Yeah.
Slowly but surely, and see how the numbers go, which is
step by step,
good.
Looking at the pandemic numbers in Turkey, they're huge in comparison.
Yeah.
And so I would be very surprised if Turkey relaxes its restrictions as quickly as Greece. Where I'm going with this is when we do get back in the water, when we're allowed to sail, when Greece opens up its borders around the islands so that we can go there as well, we'll be able to do a bit more island hopping while we wait for the situation to change in Turkey. What do you think?
Yeah, obviously I'd like to head towards Turkey, and I think, you know, obviously we've got to check in with the Turkish Coast Guard or whoever is the authority for keeping the borders secure, and find out whether we're actually allowed into Turkey, and if we are allowed in, will we have to self-quarantine there for 14 days?
At
anchor, or can we go into the marina? So there's a lot of unknowns still about that, and I guess we'll just wait for time to pass, and when the time is right we'll ask the relevant authorities and see what they say. So these have just been our musings that we thought we'd pass along to you, especially if you're considering this lifestyle that we've chosen. As well as our weekly video on YouTube, we also write a His and Hers Perspective blog, which is on our website, and the website address is on the screen right now. So if you want more in-depth stuff like we've just shared, then check out the blogs, because they go into a lot more depth and detail than we ever could on video.
Yeah, because the videos, you know, got time restraint, and you're not going to sort of share all of your feelings about everything. Not that we do on the blogs either, but we do give more in-depth, and also, you know, costs of things and what have you.
So check those out. I think you'll enjoy them. So now we come to removing the cutlass bearing, and I have watched a couple of videos on YouTube and from professional boatyards, and the method they use is they use a saber saw. Yes, Nikos, I can hear you saying I told you so. And they use a saber saw and they cut through the bronze of the cutlass bearings, making sure that they don't put any damage into this part of the P-bracket. Well, seeing as it's our first time at doing this, and we have no other method to do it apart from the one that we could really make an expensive mistake, we've made an executive decision and we've called in one of the local, like a mechanic engineer guy. We have it on good authority that he is the guy to do it. If anyone can do it, he can do it. So, you know, I don't know what it's going to cost us, but it's probably going to be a lot cheaper than the stress, the strain, the frustration, and the potential damage that we could do to the P-bracket if we really mess things up here. So, as soon as the guy arrives, we'll let you know. Well, I think the engineer's just arrived. I've had a car pull up. Absolutely brilliant. He's just managed to do this in only, I don't know, maybe 10 minutes using that contraption. We're at the final stage now. So there's obviously going to be another method to get the last little bit out.
According to the contract.
Fantastic. Echaristo. Brilliant. Well, there it is. It's out, and it took about 15 minutes in total and cost 50 euros. The best 50 euros I've ever spent. And there is the P bracket with the bearing removed. All we've got to do now is get some sandpaper in here to make this internal surface as smooth as possible so that the new bearing goes in as easily as possible. And one little trick that a couple of our viewers have suggested is currently in action. The new bearing has been in the freezer for a couple of days, and what that does is it makes the metal contract, because this is such a tight fit tolerance wise. So when the new bearing is contracted metal, you've got a small window of opportunity to get that in there as easy as possible. So we'll do that tomorrow. And if ever you find yourself and your boat here in Livaditis Boatyard, the contact details for the guy who helped us out with this are in the description down below. Here at the boatyard, they're getting things ready for the summer season that may or may not happen. Things are very uncertain at the moment. The only thing I can definitely tell you is that next week on Sailing ABC, we have a boat job that seemed to be quite daunting and in the end turned out to be quite easy. And it was all to do with the bow thruster battery in the forward sail locker. So make sure you click the subscribe button and the bell icon so you get notified when we release a brand new weekly episode of Sailing ABC. Thanks for watching.